My name is Athena, and I am presenting you a class today where instead of doing like a flow like we would usually do, I figured we have a lot of time to practice some skills so we can have fun and kind of work our way up and build up to a pincha or forearm stand. So doesn't mean you're going to do it today, but we can build up all of the building blocks to get there and get stronger, get more space in our shoulders, and maybe one day, maybe after 2 weeks of being at home and practicing this, you'll get to that. So what I would suggest to need today is a elastic. I have this one. It's a little bit too tough, but that's all I have. So, you know, we do it with what we have in these times. And I have a water bottle. So something that's about like a yoga block. I don't have yoga blocks. They're all left in Montreal as I moved to Europe. So something that's more or less shoulder width that you can hold between your hands. So it could be like a big mason jar or a block if you have one. It's time to be creative. So with that, that's all we need for this class today. I'll invite you to start by standing. You can find a nice, comfortable stance about hip width apart. And we're just going to wake up the shoulders a little bit. So start by swinging the arms forward and back in opposite directions. And the body can move with the swinging of the arms, so try not to hit your plants. And just invite some movement, some stretching with that movement of the swinging. And we're going to add to this. So from the swing, you're going to do a full circle. And try not to think too much about it. The arms are going in opposite directions. I want to call this like a windmill because I'm in the Netherlands and that just seems appropriate. And keep swinging. Let the arms go in opposite directions so the shoulders do nice big circles. And then slowly slow it down and come back to the swinging front and back. I hope you remember what side you did because we're going to do the same thing but opposite directions. Going in full circles. And I invite you to find your breath here. Notice if you can breathe in and out more or less equally. And then slowly come back to the swinging. And we'll slowly make the movement smaller and come back to the arms by our sides. And take a moment here to close your eyes. Feel your feet against the ground. Let the arms hang effortlessly by your sides. Tune into how you're feeling right now. Starting by the feet against the ground, letting the whole weight of the body settle onto the feet, anchoring down. And then notice the movement of your breath, wherever it's showing up, wherever you can feel it in your body, in your belly, your chest, your back, wherever it is. And then pay attention to your arms. You might feel a bit more warmth around the shoulders after that movement. Maybe some tingling, whatever sensation is showing up. Take one last full breath through the nose. And when you're ready, slowly open the eyes. And let's come to the top of the mat. Bring your feet again about hip width apart. And let's inhale to raise the arms up. Feel the whole movement through that circle. And exhale to fold forward, nice and slow. Knees can be bent. Inhale, come halfway up. Roll the shoulders back and reach the top of the head forward. And exhale, bring both hands to the floor and step back to a plank. Inhale in your plank. Pushing the shoulders into the ground. Find stability through the shoulders. Legs are strong. And then exhale in the down dog. Bend the knees deeply. Let the hips reach up and push through the fingertips. Inhale, come back to a plank. And exhale in your down dog. Bending the knees. Inhale in your plank. Exhale in your downward facing dog. And from there, bend the knees completely all the way to the floor and find your tabletop. So the hands will be directly under the shoulders and the knees directly under the hips. Fingertips or fingers are spread wide apart and press the fingertips into the floor. And I want you to imagine that you have two mason jars under your hands and you're trying to open them. So you're finding an external rotation. So instead of going in like this, you want the eye of the elbow to turn forward and the shoulder to externally rotate. If you were letting the hands move, they would go out, but you're not. Fingers are pointing forward still, and the movement starts from the shoulders. So let's try to think of keeping that rotation in the shoulders throughout this practice. And keeping that, we'll do shoulder push-ups. So you're keeping the spine nice and neutral. So as if you were laying down on the floor on your back. And then you'll retract your shoulder blades. So squeeze the scapula, the shoulder blades in your back. So your heart is going down, but it's really the shoulder blades sliding towards each other. And then you're pushing into the floor. Expand the space between the scapula for a protraction. And again, going down, retract and protract. Keep opening those mason jars and squeeze and stretch apart. Imagine you're like a nutcracker. Try to crack that nut between the shoulder blades and then expand, stretch it apart. 3 more times like that. Keep engaging the core, keep the lower back neutral. And it might be a small movement. Don't worry if it's not very obvious. One more time. And then let's find a neutral space. So about halfway from those two, movement, protraction and retraction. Tuck the toes under, engage your core, and float the knees right off the floor into a floating table. So you're finding that stability in the shoulders again and in the core. Keep opening those mason jars, external rotation of the shoulders. Full breath. Let's inhale here. Exhale, push it back to a downward dog. Kind of a short downward dog. Keep the knees bent. Push through the shoulders as if you want to lengthen the side body. And inhale, come back to your floating table. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, floating table. Exhale, down dog. Exhale, floating table. Walk your hands a bit forward. Keep the knees floating if you can. And then lower the knees, find a half plank. Inhale here, lengthen the heart. Exhale, bend halfway down, like a chaturanga. Push yourself back up, float the knees, downward dog. So we're warming up the shoulders here, warming up all those muscles. Inhale, forward, knees down, long spine. So one straight line from the knees to the top of the head. Exhale, lower halfway. Push yourself up, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward plank. Lower the knees, exhale, halfway down. Push yourself up, exhale, downward dog. One last time. Inhale, forward. Exhale, knees down, halfway down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down dog. Staying here. Let's bend the knees one at a time, pedaling your dog out. You can move it side to side. And let your breath take over your body again, feeling the movement of the breath as you settle into your downward facing dog here. Let the head be heavy. You can do little yeses and nos to release the neck. And then notice if you're still conscious of your shoulders. Are you still externally rotating, opening those imaginary mason jars? Now on your inhale, let's reach the right leg up. Exhale, step the foot between the hands. Lower the left knee. Squeeze the hips, inhale, long spine, and from here lift the arms up. And keep engaging the core so you're not sinking into the lower back. Squeeze the legs towards each other, and from there, lengthen the spine. Grab your left wrist with the right hand. Inhale to stretch it up, and exhale to stretch it to the right. Side bend. Staying here. Notice your shoulders, are they crunched up? Try to keep them neutral. And invite the breath in the left side body. Keep pushing the big toe mound of your right foot. Inhale, come back to center, both arms reach up. If they're not already, tuck your left toes and lift the left knee just off the floor. Keep the hips squared. So you don't want to go like this, arching the back, but keep the pelvis at a neutral place, as if you were holding water in your pelvis in that bowl. Reach the arms back up, and exhale, twist to the right. Inhale here. Exhale, maybe the gaze goes towards the right hand. Imagine you're scissoring the legs towards each other. Find that strength between the feet. Inhale, come back to center, arms up. Exhale, fingertips to the front of the mat. Lift the left leg up, standing splits. The right knee can be gently bent. Light up the back of your left thigh and your glutes. So you want to use your muscles to reach the foot as high as you can. And try not to open the hip up too much. Keep the left toes pointing down. Staying here for 3 more breaths. Light up the back of the left leg. Keep pushing the right heel to the floor. And slowly step the foot all the way back, coming back to our downward facing dog. Let's inhale for plank. Exhale, lower knees, lower halfway, push back up, and downward dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, foot between the hands. Lower the right knee. Squeeze the hips, push the left heel down to lift yourself up. Find a neutral spine, extend through the side body. Grab your right wrist with the left hand. Inhale, lengthen it up. And exhale, side bend to the left. Notice your shoulders. Try to keep your right palm of the hand facing down towards the floor, towards the left. Deepen your breath, inviting your inhales to find space through the right side, even at the front of the right hip and the right thigh. Inhale, center, both arms lift up, tuck the right toes, and lift the knee just off the floor. Keep the knee bent to help the pelvis stay neutral. Inhale here. Exhale, twist to your left. Right arm forward, left arm back. Keep squeezing the feet towards each other. Maybe the gaze goes back towards the left hand. And inhale, both arms up. Exhale, fingertips to the front of the mat, standing splits. Right leg lifts, left knee gently bent. Light up the back of the right leg. Keep the hip in a neutral rotation, so without opening, keep the front of the right thigh facing down. And lift it a little bit higher for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly step the foot all the way back, finding your downward dog again. Inhale, plank. Exhale, knees down in your half plank, lower halfway down. Push yourself up, downward facing dog. Look forward, step towards the front of the mat, and bend your knees into a Pitta and come to sit for Navasana, boat pose. So we need our core to go upside down. We need that stability. So think of lifting up the lower back off away from the floor. Maybe bring your hands behind your thighs to help lift it up. Keep the shoulders back. Maybe spread the toes apart. So finding that energy all the way to the tips of the toes. If you're feeling comfortable, extend the arms. Staying here for a few more breaths. Find stability. Maybe a smile. It can help. One more breath. On your next exhale, lower down Ardha Navasana, half Navasana. So you're hovering the legs and the upper back. Push the lower back towards the floor. Maybe here reach the arms overhead. Keep pushing the arms away from you. And relax. Find your breath. Okay, from here, we'll come into a Supta Bakasana. So like Bakasana, crow pose, but on our backs. The toes will come together, knees towards the armpits, and you'll lift the shoulders up, bring your hands together, and squeeze the knees against the triceps, the outer shoulders or arms. So you might be here, see wherever you can go. Gently lift even the tailbone off the floor and squeeze it in. Inhale here. Exhale, Ardha Navasana. Your arms can be by your sides as well. And come back, Ardha Bakasana. And in your hovering boat. And again. In your crow on your back. And out. 3 more times. Keep breathing. It's hard to talk while you do this. Squeeze it in. Reach it out. One more time. Squeeze. Reach it out. Stay here. And release. Whew. Let the breath come back into your belly. And then bring your knees in towards the chest. And roll yourself up and down. And when you feel like you have enough, go all the way to the front, cross the ankles together, and step the feet back. Coming back to your tabletop. Let's do a few rounds of cat-cow just to kind of release what we just did. Inhaling for a cow, belly lowers down, gaze forward, shoulders back, hips up. And then exhale, gaze in, around the spine. Protract the shoulders. And inhale in your cow spine. Think of retracting your shoulders, so squeezing the shoulders together. And exhale, protract, and around in cat spine. And again, cow spine. Think of externally rotating your shoulders. Those mason jars are under your hands. And exhale to round, push into the floor. Inhale, come to a neutral spine. Tuck the toes. And walk your way back into a toe pose. So Make sure your big toes are tucked, maybe even your pinky toe if you can. If this is way too much for you, keep your fingers down. If you can stay here for now. And try to change your ideas. Try not to think too much about your feet. We're going to bring your fingertips onto the shoulders like little epaulettes. And then bring your elbows against each other, or as close as you can. And from there, just find big circles. So drawing with your elbows the biggest circles you can, while keeping your core, your torso as stable as possible. And then next time the elbows come together, let's go in the opposite directions. I know your toes are hurting, don't think about it. Keep thinking about your shoulders and those gigantic circles you're drawing on your two side walls. Let's do one more circle. Bring the elbows back together, release the arms, and walk the hands forward. Gently tap the tops of the feet to the floor, very gently. And then come to sit. So you might sit onto your knees, or if you have a block to sit on, you may also do that. And let's grab our at-home props. I'm gonna take this off to make it easier. So let's start with the yoga block / water bottle / mason jar. And we're gonna hold it between the hands. So we're not gripping, we're really pushing through the palms and kind of extending the fingers away. Make sure your core is strong. So I don't want to see any, or I won't see you, but please don't extend the spine and kind of fall into the lower back. Engage your core. Think of those core exercises we just did and knit the ribs in. So I'm going to keep that neutral spine like we had before. And then the hands are going to push into the block or bottle, and elbows are going to stay in line with the shoulders and the wrists. So none of this and not this either. So we're trying to keep that straight line, like we can say, or parallel between the forearms and between the upper arms. So from here, push in. So you're lighting up the shoulders. You might feel a bit of a burn in the shoulders. That's what we're looking for. If not, maybe push a little bit more. Keep engaging the core. Find that neutral, keep that neutral, and then slowly lift the elbows up. Keep the 90 degrees in your elbows. You might not go very far. When you start popping the ribs, you don't want to go there. So keep the ribs in and see where you can stay. And keep squeezing in. Notice if your elbows are going out, keep them in. Keep the gaze forward. Imagine you're just sitting normally and the arms are the only thing moving in a weird place right now. And stay here, keep pressing for 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly release and let go of the bottle block. Take a moment to let that sink in, release the hands, and then we're going to grab our elastic. You might also use like a scarf or something, whatever you have that you can pull against. And then I'm going to roll it 3 times, so it's about shoulder width. So more or less the same width as the bottle, maybe a little bit wider. So take the time to find that. It can be a bit rough to find the right length, but don't worry too much about it. And the same thing is here. So same squeezing in at the elbows, no pushing out. But this time instead of pushing in, we're pulling away. This elastic is super rough, so this is very hard. And it's even hard with this not so rough elastic. Okay, so pull in opposite directions keep squeezing the elbows. So you're not doing this to pull. You're trying to keep the elbows in. And this here is the external rotation we're looking at, like we did at the beginning in our tabletop. So if we do this, we're going in internal rotation, and with the elbows towards each other, we're going into an external rotation. Same thing with the ribs, knitting in, core strong, and then start lifting up, keeping the elbows at 90 degrees. I can't go as high in this version. You might feel the outer arms burning here. So another 4, keep breathing. 3, 2, 1, and slowly release. Whew. All right, it's a good burn. Let's put these props to the side and let's come to a wall. So I have a mat here against the wall. It's gonna be a bit close to the camera, but we do with what we have. And actually, before going to the wall, let's start by being away from the wall and we're gonna build up to that. So as we did this whole time with the elbows in, we're gonna do the same thing against the ground. So the forearms are parallel, like if we're drawing a number 11. And you wanna slightly retract the shoulder blades. Like we did our shoulder push-ups, you might do it a bit here, it's a little bit harder. Just try it out. And squeeze the shoulder blades gently towards each other. But then we often tend to dump into the lower back when we do that. So engage your core and kind of think of filling up the lower back. With that, tuck the toes and lift the knees. It's coming into like a downward dog, but on our forearms in a dolphin. Notice if your elbows are sliding out. Keep them in so they're in line with the shoulders. Knees can be bent, and think of lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. The further you're away, the less weight there is in your shoulders. The closer your feet are to the elbows, the more weight is in the shoulders. So wherever you are, let's say here, another 3 breaths. 2, 1. And lower the knees. And maybe find a child's pose for a couple of breaths. Notice how that felt. If that was really hard, I suggest you stay here. That's a great start. It's already a lot of weight into the arms, and it's really it's a really good practice to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders and the wrists. If you feel like you have that pretty well, you're pretty comfortable, we can move on with a second option here. So same thing, retract the shoulder blades, puff up the lower back, and lift the hips up. Keep pushing through the forearms all the way to the fingertips. Then you can maybe walk your feet closer. Step 1 is fine with the feet further back. Maybe here lift the right leg. Like in our standing splits, engage the back of the leg and reach the toes further up. Maybe gaze forward or keep the head relaxed. Lower the right leg, change and lift the left leg. Make sure you're still breathing. And lower the left leg and lower the knees. 2 breaths in child's pose. You may turn the palms up. And slowly come up to sit. Okay, so we tried those 2 options. You can do that again. If that was a lot of work, stay here. So from a wider dolphin to a closer dolphin, maybe 1 leg at a time. If you feel like you can bring a little bit more weight, if you're feeling stable, there is the wall. So at the wall, we're going to measure the length of our legs. So I'm not sure if you can see that from the camera, but you basically want to sit your bum as close as you can to the wall, extend the legs, and you'll see here where your heels arrive. So make a note, maybe keep your hand here or just see where that is against your mat. And this might take a few tries for you, depending on the proportions of your body. I like to have this point where my heels were about halfway or in the middle of my forearms. And from here, we're going to find that parallel shape, that 11 shape between the forearms again. Fingertips push down, heels against the wall, shoulders retract, lower back fills up, and then come up to a very short dolphin. The feet are pushing into the wall, the elbows are pushing into the ground. From here, you might stay or lift a foot up on the wall and push up into an L shape. And you want to engage the core. This is a lot of weight into the forearms. And think of pulling the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And stay here for 3, 2, 1, and lower it down. So if you're still doing the first dolphin, you can just keep going with the same counts. And take a few breaths of break between. We'll do one more version, or whichever version you're doing. So you're going to bring your forearms, if you're at the wall, at the same place again. You might want to remeasure if you need. And from there, retract the shoulder blades, heels are against the floor, puff up the lower back, push it up. Lift one foot, lift the other foot. Stay here if that's a lot already. Otherwise, lift one leg. Maybe gaze forward and think of pushing the leg up towards the ceiling, engage the core. And maybe play with floating the other foot away from the wall and playing with your balance. This is where you can play. Once the strength is built up, maybe lift the other leg up. And when you're ready, you'll lower down. Whew. Take a moment to catch your breath. You can bring your arms back in your child's pose. Let the shoulders release. And from here, come back to a tabletop. And you'll inhale to lift the right arm up to the sky. Exhale, bring the right arm under the left to reach it to the left. 2 times like that, inhaling up. Exhale to the left. And again, reach it up. Exhale to the left. This time stay here and lower the shoulder to the floor and the right ear to the floor. You might reach the left arm overhead towards the top of the mat. Maybe keep it in front of the face to open the left shoulder a little bit more, or reach it up, internally rotate so the thumb points back, and place the back of the left hand against the right hip, or inside the right hip, the front of the right hip. Let the breath invite space in the upper back and in the middle back. Gently reach the left arm up and back in front of your face. Push yourself up, push the right arm to the sky again. And lower the right hand down to the floor. Other side, left arm lifts, inhale. Exhale to the right. Inhale up. Exhale to the right. Inhale up. Exhale to the right, staying here, lower all the way down onto the shoulder, left ear to the floor. Maybe keep the right hand in front of the face, over the head at the front of the mat, or reach it up, internal rotation, thumb points back, and bring the top of the hand to the hip, or in front of the left thigh. Letting the breath deepen. And notice the effort or maybe the playfulness you had here. Maybe if you fell, notice if you can learn to fall better. It's all about the process. It's mostly a practice of patience and of play. Lower the right hand back in front of the face and push yourself up. When you have the time to play, that's when you can make mistakes and see how every day is different. Let's come to sit. You can have a block or just sit on your knees or cross-legged, whatever you prefer. And bring your arms out by the sides. Bring the right arm under the left. And either bring your hands to the shoulder blades or the backs of the hands together or palms together, finding your version of Garudasana, eagle arms. Lift the elbows about shoulder height. If the hands are together, stretch them a little bit further away from your face. And you can close your eyes here and just take a moment to expand the upper back with the help of your breath. Slowly release, reach the arms out in a cactus, squeeze the elbows and the shoulders back. Exhale, left arm under the right, find your version of Garudasana arms. Elbows shoulder height, hands away from the face if applicable. And anchor back down. Feel the sitting bones against your feet or the ground or the support. Feel the spine stacked over the pelvis. And invite the creation of space and of softness of the upper back. One more full breath. Gently release. Reach the arms out to the sides in cactus. And release. If you want more juiciness and stretching, you can go to the next video, which is more of a yoga tune-up. If you have balls or tennis balls. Otherwise, let's come into a Shavasana, final relaxation. So coming down to the back. Start with the knees bent. And bring both knees in towards the chest. And just gently rock yourself side to side. Feeling, noticing the support of the ground under the back. And Keep the knees a little bit closer together and draw circles with the knees, letting the lower back and the upper glutes massage and circle against the ground. And change the direction of the circles. Bring your knees back to the chest. Squeeze the knees in a little bit closer towards the armpits, so on the outsides of the rib cage. Let the tailbone push down towards the ground. Let the upper back and shoulder blades be heavy. And slowly release. Bring the feet back to the floor. Maybe keep the feet down in the lower back, sensitive, or extend both legs in your Shavasana. Arms can go by your sides, palms facing up. And gently slide the shoulder blades a little bit closer together so they're nice and flat against the floor. Noticing that support, and stability, and unconditional presence of your ground. And onto that presence, let the arms get heavy. Letting both shoulders rest onto the floor. Your right elbow softens, your left elbow softens. Your right fingers soften, left fingers soften. Let the breath inhabit your body. Inviting gentle movement, effortless movement in the belly and the chest. The pelvis is heavy. The legs are held heavy all the way to the heels, all the way to the toes. Let go of any tension in your face, melting away the tension in your forehead, around the eyes. Soften your mouth, perhaps inviting some space between the top and the bottom teeth. Softening your tongue. Letting the whole weight of your head completely supported by the ground. you're at home and you have a little bit more time, you can stay longer in your Shavasana. If you're ready to come out, slowly start lengthening your breath. Invite some movement back to your fingers and your toes. Into your wrists and your ankles. Reach the arms overhead, feet together, and stretch throughout the length of the body. And gently bend one knee at a time. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Gently rock side to side. And roll onto your right or your left side into fetus. Taking one whole breath here, the transition. And pressing the top hand to the floor in front of the heart. Push yourself up gently. Keeping the eyes closed if you can. Finding a comfortable sitting position. Start by resting the hands on your lap, on your knees. Let the shoulders get heavy. And tune into how you feel. Maybe there are remnants of your practice physically or emotionally. You may keep whatever served you and let go whatever didn't. And maybe invite yourself to stay playful through this time of quarantine and beyond. When you feel like it, when you have that time, let yourself play and learn and fall. It's all part of the process. Bring your hands together at heart center. Gently lower the chin towards the fingertips. And thank yourself for taking this time in your day today. Thank you for moving with me across your screens. And have a lovely rest of your day or evening. Namaste.